describe me. That's what I do. I'm going to talk a little bit about Wi-Fi schemes and how they're paid for, which I think has been a key topic for this session. And I'm going to cover some prepay ticket-based systems, the community broadband schemes that we operate as a business, and how we go about connecting the unconnectable from the wrong side of the digital divide. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our wireless hotspot systems and how we make them suit many different circumstances. So, my business is CLANNET Broadband Limited. You may be wondering what CLANNET stands for. Well, it's a short for Community Local Area Network. That's how we came into being back in 2003. The next village next to where I lived had no broadband at all. Its wires were nearly 10 kilometres long from the exchange, and none of the residents had any chance of service. And as part of my retraining from being a horticulturist into a new profession, I took the digital divide as my project. And what we did was to beam a Wi-Fi signal from our village to the village without broadband. We then got a grant from Yorkshire Forward, as it was known then, and we built a early Wi-Fi network to cover the village. We had nearly 90% take-up from the village, which was quite an achievement, and that network is still operating today, some 11, nearly 12 years on. It's been rebuilt 3 times, there's new generations of equipment, but that's how I come to be here today. Over that time, we specialised in the technology that makes this work. We have specialised in how you provide that service and the back-end systems that make it work. I'll talk a lot more about that in a bit. Our core business is we have about 650 customers, that's as an internet service provider, in the Vale of York. We do cover parts of York. So, for instance, there are quite a number of people in Moormonkton and Nunmonkton that have had no internet service at all. They've been reliant on dongles and this and that. And 3 years ago, we got a grant from DEFRA to go and help that village. So it was a community-led project. The idea happened in a pub in Driffield one day. I remember I was there. And wouldn't it be a great idea if we could piggyback off the public network to help local communities? In the case of Nunmonkton, there was a school in the middle of the village which had a fibre connection from CLANNET. CLANNET is a business owned by North Yorkshire County Council, and its brief is to connect public services, but also try and reach communities that have no or very poor service. So we won a grant for £30,000 to go and do that. It took BT, I think, nearly a year to connect the fibre, which gave us then 3 weeks to build the project before the end of the financial year, and our money supply cut off. In those 3 weeks, we managed to connect all the houses that are registered, nearly 100 houses. It was a bit of a sweat, but we did it. We also have built a network in the Vale of Mowbray. I don't know if you know the Vale of Mowbray. So if you go north to Northallerton, that's in the middle of the Vale of Mowbray. And what has been recognised by CLANNET, North Yorkshire Council, is that cities and big towns have good connectivity, but as soon as you go more than 3 or 4 miles outside of big towns or even big villages which have exchanges, then the service deteriorates very rapidly. So we've specialised in doing the unconnectable. So we built a network around the Vale of Mowbray, which covers all the little villages, basically in a donut around Northallerton, and then spread out to the surrounding farmland, etc. So you could call this FarmNet, because most of our stuff is nailed to the side of a barn, and most of the houses we connect are in very remote villages and people associated with the farming and agricultural industry. We cover about an area of about 600 square miles, so it's a huge Wi-Fi network. Just to illustrate how powerful this medium is. When you think of Wi-Fi, you think, well, it just covers a room, and that's about it. Well, stuff like this, which is a little Wi-Fi transmitter, it can easily do 5 miles. With the right equipment, it can go further, so that's a more powerful version. We also have a dish about so size. The bits inside, the same as inside your domestic Wi-Fi, except the only thing we're doing is we're taking it outside, we're freeing it, we don't have walls, we're not limited. A very simple rule: if you can see it, you can do it. It's a simple rule that works with Wi-Fi. Well worth thinking about that one, because I think it liberates your thoughts about how you can use this medium. So we can do distances of around about, well, the network's about 50 miles across and about 50 miles wide. And we specialised in those really difficult to connect people, the people who currently have nothing. That's our core business. We're also a technology partner to other providers in the county. So we are a very small band in North Yorkshire. I think it's only about 5 of us. And we only employ a very small number of people. But we do now supply something like 3,000 to 4,000 houses in North Yorkshire. And we are increasingly providing the technology that works behind this. So how customers provisioned, how the routers fit together, the technical bit is what we specialise in. And for that reason, we began to look at how we exploit that technology. So we are now selling it to other providers. And mostly out of purely interest, we looked at using free Wi-Fi, because we were constantly asked, could you free Wi-Fi our village hall? Can you do our town centre? It's a really valuable thing that we need. We want to promote Bedale, which was one of our first projects we did. And people now see it as they expect to see Wi-Fi everywhere, wherever they go. If you're walking down the high street, you know, they've all got their little, haven't they? You see them there wherever they go. When you look at the ownership of smartphones, it's colossal. 70% of the population, I think, as the latest figures. John will correct me, I'm sure. Is it something like that? Have a smartphone? Yeah. They're not expensive. They are dirt cheap. There's the Windows one, 60 quid. It does everything. I can watch TV in bed, catch up on my TV. I can do my email, I can run my business, I can pick up my voicemail. It does everything I want. We were asked by Bedale to build a free Wi-Fi system. And it basically used one of these and a router, and we built it in a few weeks. And to quote the lady who asked us to do it, she said, "It's the smallest amount of money we've ever spent that has produced the biggest ever response that we've ever had," which I found quite a startling fact. She was very keen that it worked. She put a hoarding across the high street, free Wi-Fi now available in Bedale. And sure enough, we're constantly staggered at the number of users that we attract with these free hotspots. In the case of Bedale, it's just sponsored by this lady through Bedale Hall, and it's attracted a lot of interest. So the next to come along was Leyburn, the retailers in the town asked us to build a project. It was sponsored by the Mary Portas Fund for reforming the high street, because you know what's happening in the high street. If you're not adapting to this new technology and exploiting the web, you are being destroyed very quickly. Just look down your high street. Shopkeepers have got to respond. They've got to get their offering to the users. And if 70% of your footfall has one of these in their pocket, then reach out to them. We now have 15,000 registered users on our hotspots, which we always find quite a staggering fact. We're also offering within our Wi-Fi commercial networks, we now offer free Wi-Fi to any village hall that's within our coverage area to encourage digital inclusion within those communities. Because we are a community organisation, we rely on people giving us the end of a barn, giving us their chimney pots, providing us with a little electricity for our network to work. So at least we can give back, a little bit back, for what they've done for us in terms of offering a free service. Okay, so I'm going to get down to a bit more techie stuff now. This is the kind of equipment we use. At the heart of a hotspot, there's a little router. You'll see a picture of one there. Tiny little device, about so size. From Eastern Europe, they cost about 50 quid. And they're amazingly powerful. And you can build one with the right knowledge, you can build one for very little money. The key bits for making this work is we need some back-end system so we know who is on it, and they're authenticated. And we also, with a hotspot, we want to give them services. So we want to give them web pages for adverts for shops in their area, etc. We've developed various options for the hotspot. So we have a prepaid card, which is one idea for monetarising Wi-Fi. We've used that on caravan sites, for example. So if you come to a caravan site, most people these days don't want to use their Wi-Fi when they're on holiday, surprisingly, and the caravan owners can sell them tickets. We also do a self-service system, so they can prepay, so they go and pay for a time or a amount of data through PayPal or another portal. And we've also developed advertising funding service. So, for instance, in Northallerton, what they wanted to do is they wanted a scheme by which adverts were fired every time somebody logged onto the service. They would receive an advert, and if anybody clicked one of those adverts, i.e. they were interested in the product or service being shown, then that would be recorded so that that retailer could then email those users, if they had agreed to allow them to email, to basically promote their services. So how does it work? Now, free Wi-Fi is full of all kinds of legal issues, which I ought to make you fully aware of. It's very easy just to have the key of your Wi-Fi router on your shop door or on your community centre door, log on with this. In reality, it's illegal. And the government is getting tighter, as John pointed out about the press. It's a sad fact. If you're a terrorist, where would you go? I'd go to a free Wi-Fi and that's where I would try and use it. So we think, for legal reasons, we need to register those people who are using it. It's also a legal requirement. So if the law ever came to me as an operator of a free Wi-Fi, then I should be able to say, at such and such a time, in such and such a place, this person logged on and used the internet. I don't need to know what they do, but I need to be able to show the authorities that I am responsible for my service. I also have to look after the data protection in terms of who can see the information that we are recording. So we protect ourselves there. Our data has to be destroyed on an annual basis. We also, in this day and age, have to respect child safety. I know the Prime Minister is super keen about child safety on the internet. So we make all our hotspots child safe, but also protect them against the really nasty things in the internet. Although I agree with John, it's a liberating experience, but if you look at what's happening to our younger generation in what they experience online, sexually in particular, I would say we have no idea what's going to happen to our young people in what they can now see on the internet, and we do need to protect them from the extremes of the internet. It's all there at the touch of a button. Anything that you could even don't dare think about, it's only one click away. And we do need to protect our young people. We provide that safety net through filtering the service. How does it work? If you've got your smartphone and you walk into a free Wi-Fi area, mostly these days, because they're becoming very common, you'll get a little box pop down from the top telling you there's free Wi-Fi available. In which case you connect and you open a browser. I hope I'm not... Are you okay with that? Stop me if I'm going too quick on any of this technical stuff. Please interrupt. And a page like that appears where you can log in. There's the anatomy of the page. So this is for settle. And basically you have some logos you can add in, username, password. Along the top you can register, you can recover your account, so if you've forgotten your details you can recover it, because we're all very bad at remembering stuff. If you need some help you can click there. If you need to recover your password, then we can text that to your phone. That's what it looks like. So to register, I don't know, maybe a few of you will be familiar if you're registered for the cloud, for example, one of the most common free Wi-Fi services. We take the bare minimum information that we need to keep it legal. In other words, we take your first name, your house name, and your postcode, and your email address. The critical one there, which makes you unique, is your email address. Of course, yes, we get loads of people, Mickey Mouse from mickeymouse.com, yes, and Harry Potter, yeah, we get them all, and basically we just delete them. At the end of the day, we just delete them. So we also run a check when they register to see if that email actually exists, just as a double safe. The most important bit at the bottom for the retailers is a little tick box, so you can opt out, to maintain people's privacy, you can opt out of any emails following from using the service. I think the text describes what it does. The next part we're going to fit to our hotspots is Twitter and Facebook integration. So many people have Facebook and Twitter accounts. It's a very easy way to ensure you know who it is online, and a very easy way, because we all forget username and password. It's a pain in the bum having to remember username and password. The integration with Facebook and Twitter takes that away. And I've showed you the radios. That's these things. So after the hotspot itself, the little router box that I showed you, it attaches to these. and just have a computer plug in the bottom, and the antenna is inside. The clever bit about antennas is we come from working outside, so we're used to creating networks outside. That's our specialisation. So we know all about building networks outside. So building a community Wi-Fi, say for a town centre, is relatively easy because these are directional antennas. So you know your Wi-Fi router at home, it contains what they call an omnidirectional antenna. So it just produces a round globe of signal. Well, what these do is they focus it. So the secret of making it go a long way or go through a brick wall is to focus the energy into you can imagine it as a kind of flat, if you imagined a pizza, a segment from a pizza, that's the signal that comes out of the front of that. So it's directional, flat and thin. And that's how the energy is focused. So it's no more powerful than a regular router. It's just focusing the energy to go the place you want it to go. So we do a survey of the area. So this is Easingwold, and we'll be building there in, I think, next Monday. Anybody familiar with Easingwold? Yes? Okay.
It's also, it must be one of those kind of places on governments. They've got like training facilities.
I'm not familiar. Okay. And we're beaming across to the middle there, the town hall in the middle, and then we're putting 3 of those on the corners, which gives us 360-degree cover, and it will penetrate through glass windows into the shops, etc., and also give coverage of all the car park areas and the pavement areas. I once got a text message from somebody who it just said, "I'm 5 miles from Leyburn, I'm on top of a hill, I can't see anybody at all, but I've got perfect Wi-Fi, courtesy of us." You can see, give you an idea how far it can go. You've still got the problem of it doesn't penetrate very well into houses. It will go through glass relatively easy. It will go through roofs relatively easy. But as soon as you get to brick walls or modern building materials, it's a Wi-Fi killer. One of the big problems these days with Wi-Fi, do you know Kingspan? You know the aluminized foam they use in building construction? Wi-Fi, boop, straight off. And the energy-saving glass they put in window, which has got metallized, it just bounces straight off. So modern buildings tend to be, if I said Faraday cage, would you understand a Faraday cage? A Faraday cage, nothing gets in, nothing gets out. So if you put Wi-Fi in, it just bounces around inside. It can't penetrate at all. So I think they did that at the university at York, and they have a hell of a problem with Wi-Fi because they have to put one in every single room to make it work. Let's talk costs. I think that's a key topic of today. We'll be enabling Easingwold. I think it's going to be about £1,700, and that includes just one repeater. We can increase the coverage that we get by repeating. So one of these can talk to another one, and then if you then join this one to another one, then that can then transmit on to another one. So you can repeat to get the coverage where you want to go. All you need is a location. So for example, in Easingwold we've been asked, well, we don't have broadband in our shop, but we'd like to have your free Wi-Fi in the shop. What can you do? I said, well, you just put one of our boxes on the outside of the shop and then plug in a router inside the shop and you've got instant coverage. The other way to do it is, if it's a shop and it's not on the high street, it's just somewhere else and we can't see it, is we also do what we call VPN hotspots. Okay. I think maybe some of you could be familiar with VPN. A VPN is a way, you know, if you're a remote worker and your office is in a long way away, you can dial into your office and use it as if you were sat there. It's called a virtual private network. Basically, it's easy to imagine as a tunnel, a secure tunnel. So what we can do is give you a box, 30 quid, box then tunnels through the internet to the hotspot. So the hotspot could pop up anywhere in the town, anywhere on the globe, basically. Another way to do it is to get them to pay for the service beforehand. This is the one we use on caravan sites. So you can dictate how long the card lasts or how much data they are allowed to have. It's another way of solving the problem. The other way is to get them to register for the service online. So this is the program we use, and they can pay, basically if they register, pay by PayPal, they get a username and password, they're on. So what do you get for your free Wi-Fi? Basically we design and build, but we ask that community to come with the host agreement. So for example, Easingwold, it's actually Hamilton District Council have arranged for us to use the town hall and the necessary way leaves. We configure it and we basically look after it. We customize the text to what you want. We put the sponsors pages onto it. And these are the charges we are making for looking after a service. It's pretty small for the thousands of people that log on every day. But then it doesn't involve us in a great deal of work, so we don't need to. We just need to cover our costs. And we see it as part of our community broadband service. This is just another part of it. So we charge 30 quid, it's a basic service, handles users registration, support, maintaining the user data, all the backups you need to maintain, it works. And we give a quarterly report on usage. And that includes, for example, how many people have joined the service, how many people are online on average per day, how much data they're downloading, and how many hours they're using it. And the figures are quite startling. And people have been surprised at the amount of data that we are capturing about people on the high street. Our standard service, we add in the marketing. So these are targeted emails, so that, for example, if they're clicking adverts, then those clicks are recorded. And you can analyse then, say if you're a shop, you had different adverts, you could see which advert was working the best and tune it to what you want to achieve. Our premium service is you can add your own graphics. So if you're a retailer or whatever, you can add your own adverts. You can change them every hour if you want to. So for example, if you want to say promote something that day that's going on in your high street, then you could put adverts up yourself, change it the next day to something else. And how it works is every time a person logs in, as soon as they've logged in, the first thing they see is an advert. What do you need to provide? You need to provide a reliable internet connection. We prefer fibre. that allows the VPN idea to work. We need to know a local contact, so if there was ever an issue with it, somebody needs to go and press a button on it. We have a contact. And we need to have your artwork, etc., and agreement for the location of radios and repeater sites. That's it for my presentation. Any questions? I hope I've totally baffled you. Yes.
I haven't missed it, but is the term free Wi-Fi or misnomer, is this cost to you?
No, I illustrated various different schemes there.
Yeah.
The free Wi-Fi schemes we run in village halls and in the market towns. But I also showed some other examples of prepay schemes like on the caravan site, where they can either buy a ticket or they can prepay with PayPal or whatever. How these systems are financed, well, BDEL, for example, was just paid for and is continues to be paid for by the BDEL hall. Settle is paid for by the owner of the town hall.
So it's
Labour,
the average two grand plus the like 30 quid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The two grand came from Mary Porter's for Labour.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's financed by the Wensleydale Retailers Association, and I think they put a £5 in every month. Northallerton, they each pay £7 a month, and they have about, I think, 10 sponsors for the project. They each put £7 in to pay for the project, to pay for the internet and to pay our subscription.
Yeah.
Easingwold is the same. I think there's 13 retailers, each putting £5 in. So there's lots of different models of how this works. You're probably aware we also do community Wi-Fi. So in about 3 weeks' time, we're going to Huddersfield, and there, basically, we're getting a fibre connection, and basically using the same kind of stuff, but to provide a proper high-speed service. And basically, we just charge for the cost of the service that we provide, which is quite small. It's about 50p per user that we charge. But that will construct a high-speed broadband network to cover 240 houses that, well, Virgin was on the goes down the main road but won't do anything in a brand new building estate, and BT say, well, you're in Kirklees and you don't have any government funding because you've never applied for it. Tough luck, we're not coming to do your cabinet for another 3 years. Tough, give up, get used to it. So we've said, well, this is simple. If Virgin come down the main road and you buy a decent, high-quality business connection from Virgin, we'll have a host site with a Virgin connection, and then we'll just distribute it out to the local residents. And we've done it with the community. So it was a couple of guys there who are desperate to get a decent connection into their community. And I said, well, we offer a service called Broadband in a Box. It's basically, here's a box, it's basically that router. If you buy the services that surround that box, we will support you in building a broadband network. It's up to you to make a financial model that works with your community. So they'll be offering a subscription-based service to their community. I think there's a different model for every different community that I meet that will suit them. It depends where the money might be and how you follow that through. But there's always a solution to every problem. I know this from standing on a roof in the middle of nowhere and all I can see is trees, and I'm trying to connect this person's house, and suddenly we see, there's a gap in the tree over there. And we build a repeater that utilises that gap, and we connect people. That is our bread and butter, what we do. Is there's a challenge, and we find a way around it. And there is always a solution.
So even though your business is a rural
Yes.
mass market, is this something you're offering big locals in urban areas.
You give me examples of what you would like to do, and I think we can talk about what is possible within that. I hope I've given you some ideas as to how we go about it. Yeah, it's up to you. Our community service has been built with people like you in rooms like this.
Right. You've got 30 seconds. That includes the answer to your question.
No, that's they use very similar technology to us. Very, very similar. They get a feed from CLANNET, yeah, and that's beamed down into the village, and then it's distributed around in a very similar way to as I've described.
I know there's also the boxes being handed out to outlying places.
Yes. Yes. But that's a paid-for service.
Yeah, it was based on visitors coming in rather than residents.
And any money they make, which is a little bit, goes back in the pot, and then they have a giant Christmas feed up, piss up, and spend it all. And that's their way of recycling the cash, which I find is a very typically community broadband way of working. A lot of it happens down the pub.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Nick. There's opportunity to talk to you now.